potentials to be more than what they are today. So that is motivating. Being able to connect the dots so that every Aba youth, every Nigerian in Abia South Senatorial District is able to achieve or attain its full capacity, in life, is what motivates me. For the fact that I have a solution that will take care of the young Abian who treks 10 kilometers to school every day. It's motivating me for the fact that I have a solution to connect Aba traders to global trade routes. It's motivating me for the fact that I believe Aba could become a global hub for commerce and trade. That is what is driving me. And by God's grace, come 2019.
All right, before we even get into what you want to be or what will be when that will be, comes to be. All right, let me ask you. You look at Aba. You were born and brought up here in Aba. How would you describe this city called Aba, and what would you also say have been their weak point or their strength when it comes to politics?
Well, I think looking back, Aba citizens and people in this geopolitical senatorial district, one thing unique about them is, when they decide, when they take a decision on a course, they go full all out for it. I'm a youth. I represent the new face of democracy, which I espouse. I encourage all youths, all the other youths with capacity, not just youths, but youths with capacity, with good credentials, to step out and talk to their fellow Aba citizens. Tell them how their problems could be solved if they are considered for elective positions. And you see that there will be change, and you see that youths will take over most of the elective positions in the country.
All right, now, so at this point, you chose APC to be the platform for this your aspiration. Now, what informed the APC when you know that there are a lot of big wigs too in APC? For a young gentleman that is just fresh, okay, you took this step of joining the ruling party. How did you come about?
Okay, so before I even decided to run for Senate, for the office of the Senate, I've done my homework. I've prepared myself for the past 14 years to make one of the best senators in Nigeria. I've been to Harvard University, where I did programs on how to transform Aba as a commercial hub. I've been to MIT, one of the most prestigious universities in the world, where I also focused on Aba products, Aba made products, Aba traders, on how to radically transform the city. The question on why APC, I've looked at the manifesto of all the political parties in Nigeria, and I must tell you, APC has the most compelling and appealing manifesto. If you look at the section that speaks to commerce and investment, in the APC manifesto, it connects very well with the kind of transformation I want to see Aba become. So that is why APC. Then for the big wigs, I'm not perturbed at all. As we speak, we have a lot of youth volunteers going to card-carrying members, their homes, speaking to them, talking to them that we need change, and that change has come through our candidacy. So I'm seeing an unprecedented number of followership that by God's grace, come October 2nd, during our primaries, which as you know, we adopted a direct primary system, where every card-carrying member will participate and decide who will represent the party. So I'm very confident that with the strategy we are using and the process the party has adopted, I will emerge the flag bearer.
All right, we're actually discussing the state of the nation this morning, and then bringing your experience to bear on how to improve things or the way things ought to go in this nation. We're not yet talking about the election proper was going to be, well, at the appropriate time, that one is going to come up. But looking at the society is what is our focus this morning. Those things that should be that are not, that have made people like you to now want to come out. What are those things that you think should be in this nation, in this very state, that have not been, that you feel that when the right person goes in, looking at somebody like you, and as a young man too, that it will be able to be restored, so that the dignity of the senatorial zone you want to go and represent could be restored or could be improved, and then the society will be a better one.
Yeah, so it's about preparation. Unfortunately, most of the people that represent us in the Senate or Federal House or these offices don't get prepared before they step out. For me, there are three blocks. There are three building blocks that every policy we hope to pursue in the Senate will be based on. One is empathy. So empathy determines the kind of projects we are going to be pursuing. Empathy will determine the kind of policies we want to make sure is being adopted in the Senate. And the second one is transparency in governance. I am the first senatorial candidate or aspirant in Nigeria that has said that, whatever comes to my senatorial districts as constituency project funds will be made open. We have plans to publish whatever dime the federal government is going to give us as a senatorial district. Then we will engage community leaders to determine what those monies will be used for. We hope to target communities that don't have markets, where our women that go to farm, their farm produce are taking kilometers away to get them sold. We want to bring the markets closer to them so that we can revamp the microeconomy. We want to build community schools so that our children that go far to get quality education will don't have to stress themselves. Healthcare centers, you see. So those are the kind of community level projects we want to pursue if we get into power. And we are going to be driving that using community leaders who understand the issues at home and could communicate them effectively. So that's for community projects. In terms of policies, there are three areas we are looking at focusing. One is energy, the second is education, and then the third is farming. On energy, as you know, in a part of my constituency, Okwa, we have a lot of crude oil. We currently flare gas. So one of the policies we want to espouse while in the Senate is to make it uncomfortable for oil companies flaring gas in Okwa not to flare gas. Gas could be converted to electricity. And we won't just be saying it, we will engage them, we will let them know how that could happen, so that they know that that practice is unacceptable. On education, there is no reason why there is no federal university in Abia State. Every other state has a federal university. I'm trying to go to the Senate to fight for our people, to make sure a federal university is brought into the city.
All right, now you're already talking about you going there. Now I'm looking at it from the point of what? Let's assume too that you're saying these are those things that you think should be.
Yes.
All right. There have been this outcry by people, especially the people from this side of the divide, that the government at the center have not been favoring the people. That there's a lot of denials. Now, do you agree with that?
Oh, you mean marginalization?
Marginalization, that kind of
thing. Yeah. So of course, and that's why you need a youth to be in the Senate. You don't need octogenarian people in the octogenarian bracket that will go there to sleep. You need a youth that will go and represent and fight for what is due his people. I understand what you say. I feel it. I feel it more than any other representative. That is where vibrancy comes to play. That is why the energy of the youth will be effectively employed to make sure we get what is due us.
All right. Now, if you consider this from the point of taking it, now you've also said a young man needs to be there to be able to get the youth along. But somebody also said that the problem of the youths is with the youths. The youths, not their inability to come out and identify with this game of politics, which you've also initiated. Now, what are the plans you have to be able to bring them along? You keep talking about bringing the youths along. How are you going to, cut this barrier that have been there over time? people at your age are still touts to politicians. Now, how will you be able to, open up this hole and cover it up?
So I'm going to share with you my plans pre and post election. So pre-election, how are we going to bring out youths to participate and join us with this message of hope, to pass this message of hope to every Nigerian in this senatorial district? We are recruiting 600 youths that will be allocated 100 per local government by the time we get the flag of APC. We plan to knock on every door in the senatorial district. We will be pairing the youths. So there will be 50 pairs that will be going to doors like what you have when the Jehovah's Witness go to preach. They will be going to doors, encouraging and mobilizing more youths, telling them that what we are carrying is a generational burden. It's not about party. So we are looking at a situation where youths affiliated to PDP, if you are affiliated to APGA, will join us because we are all youths. We have one thing in common to say, look at our message of hope, come and let us transform this city once and for all. That's pre-election. By God's grace, with that strategy, we're going to go past the election. After election, we plan to build 2 youth development centers per local government. So in Abba, for example, we have 2 globally standard youth development centers where youths can be trained, where youths can be participating in seminars, where youths can be participating in leadership conferences. That way, the touting that you speak to will be significantly reduced, because they will now start seeing other opportunities that can be leveraged with their energy and vibrancy.
But now, for some time now, the youths have been worried about finance. If there's one thing politics, hinges on, I think it's finance. And for a young man to come out and want to compete in this game, you need to also be properly on ground in the area of finance. And as such, he's been drawing the youth backwards. He's been making, how were you able to overcome this? And you're seated here to talk about it, whereas a whole lot of people still feel it's not it's a hard thing to do.
So, I was in MIT doing my postgraduate program. One of the courses I took was on crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a very effective way of raising funds. What it means is you convince people that you have a potent message that can radically change how things are done in your area. And when they are convinced, you see them making donations. I'm happy to tell you that I run into youths, not only youths, even the elderly ones, the older generation of politicians that believe in my message and donate to my cause. So the monies I raise from people that are convinced in seeing change in the red chamber, make up over 40% of what the funds are using to run the election. The other 60% are personal funds and savings. If you remember, I earlier told you that I've planned and prepared for this election in the past 14, 15 years. So in the last 3-4 years, I started saving from my personal earnings as president. And so far, we've been able to keep afloat. We are not struggling. As it is, we will be able to give the incumbents a good fight.
All right, now, apart from the incumbent, talk about the party. Such party that is also, you have the likes of Wabara, Wabara in NBC, who you also know is a big win.
Yes.
But in this very game, they said everybody's big. It depends on your own strategy. Now, how do you intend to overcome all the old warlords in this very game that are in APC? Somebody coming from just nowhere to take it from there.
Well, I don't believe I'm coming from nowhere. If you remember the scenario, the story of David and Goliath in the Bible, when Goliath was making all the noise, God had selected David and had also worked it out for him. It took them by storm, and David was able to take down Goliath. What I come to the field is a message that can relate to the common man on the street. I'm coming with a message that can relate with every party member, every carrying member. Everybody is suffering the hardship in the country. It's obvious, it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere. So my message is connecting faster than I even thought. And the good thing about the process that has been adopted by the party for electing or selecting their flag bearer is that it's now a direct system. Direct primary system means that every carrying member will participate. And from World Bank records, the average age of a Nigerian is 18. So what does that mean? That means I fall in the age demography that has the majority in the statistics. So I'm doing my tours, I'm doing my local government and ward tours. I am taking note of the response, that is coming. So I have confidence in the team that will be organizing the primaries. So if things go free and fair, I stand a good chance of beating my opponents.
All right, in your party.
Yes.
Now, for your constituency, Abia South, that you want to represent at the Senate.
Yes.
What do you think they've been denied at the Senate all this while that you're going to restore? If you're able to get the ticket of APC and you're also able to go all the way to go in there, what do you think the people stand to benefit most of that thing?
Yes, so I think that we have not been giving the same attention that has been given to other senatorial districts in the country. Look at Kote Penny to Aba Road, how bad that road is, a federal road. If you are traveling to Port Harcourt now, before it used to take us 30 minutes to get to Port Harcourt, but you spend almost an hour, 30 minutes to get to Port Harcourt because of the condition of the roads. These are federal roads. So somebody needs to be having sleepless nights in the Senate floor, making sure that attention is given to those roads. We don't have a federal university in Abia State. We need people that will be restless there, making sure that these things are taken care of. Because we are a part of the country. We are contributing to the resources. We are contributing to the central purse. So those are the kind of things I want to go and fight for. It's not, they will not give it to you. You need to go there with the energy and vibrancy, fight for, negotiate for it, and make sure they come to your people. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll have to go for a break at this point. Viewers, when we come back, the line will be opened and you will join us in this very discussion. Don't go away. We'll be right back. All right. Thank you very much, Pastor Chinedu. His question is very simple. Okay. He said, I think I've asked you that question before. He wants to know, maybe he just joined us, the difference you're going to make.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. And for him to have asked that means he has thought about the issues we are having and how a representative in the Red Chamber can make a difference. As I earlier said, there are two major roles of a senator. One is to make laws and reform policies. The other one is to allocate and manage the constituency project funds. And I will speak to my plans because I've developed all these things before now. For constituency project funds, I want to tell Abians that the federal government allocates millions of naira to the senators to go back home and execute constituency project funds. That information is not made open. Nobody knows about that money and what it's being used for. What I'm going to do differently is this. I'm going to have a website that will make it open, that will publish how much, because it is called constituency project funds, not Chinedu Onyizu project funds or Abaribe project funds. Constituency project funds means it's not my money. It is money meant for the constituents. So our plan is this. We will set up a committee that will be constituted by leaders of communities within my constituency, between my senatorial constituency. They will come with projects that will relate to the issues they are having at community levels. Where we don't have health centers, we will pencil it down. Like Amavo in Ogunabo, for example, is in my constituency. The market there has been down for over 20 years. So the women don't even have a place to sell their products, their farm produce. Such projects are the kind of projects we want to take up. Where we don't have health centers, we will build health centers there. So when these community leaders come up with the lists of constituency projects they want us to execute, we will tell them how much you've been given by the federal government. We will prioritize it. We will democratize it. So that when we are executing, they are knowing how many we are executing, how much we are spending for each, and what is remaining. That is what leadership is all about. Then, the other aspect of lawmaking and policy reforms, I'm concerned that today we still flare gas in Okwa. We are going to make it uncomfortable for those companies there flaring gas. It's either they put in place infrastructure to convert that gas to electricity so that the Okwama and the communities within that space gets free access to affordable electricity. I won't be oppressed. These are the kind of things I'm going to be doing differently. In terms of education, we don't have a federal university in Abia State. Why should we be different? Why? I'm going to take it to the president. I want to make sure that a federal university is brought to Abia State. And I'm even thinking about making sure that the first departments that will be established in the federal university will have a department of business and commerce, so that we can be able to connect the activities in the university with what is happening in our area, with what is happening in Aba, with the ingenuity in the Abaman, so that an ecosystem of entrepreneurship can be triggered on. And you see vibrancy in the city. You see how transformational all this would be.
No, I had asked you before now, we didn't answer that other question of the youths and their so-called laziness, okay, and the attitude of the youths, the approach of youths to politics, the way youths in this play politics. Does it worry you? And if it worries you, how are you going to change it? What promise are you making? Let it be, this is what will be one of your achievements.
Yes. So I'm worried about the sorry states of youth participation in politics in Nigeria. And I tell the aides to the president, few of them that I know, that the president's bill, the not too young to run bill, only takes care of the legal barrier to leadership. It brings down the age bracket, but it does not take care of the economic challenges. It doesn't take care of the financial barrier. So the youths end up doing what is available, which is talkery. And in most cases, handouts come with that. When the politicians give them handouts, they end up converting them to talks and political talks. So what I want to do differently, and that's one of the policies I'm also considering, in the Senate, is to make it almost free for you to participate in our democratic process, so that youth that are competent and has good credentials will be able to run without being discouraged for high fees or forms and what comes with it.
Okay, all right. I think that's a very good one. If it can be achieved, having said that, when you talk about leadership, the problems of leadership, don't you think at this point is enormous? Have you put plans in place to be able to overcome it when finally it comes?
Yeah, it is enormous, especially for a young person. There's this institutional barrier that is overwhelming. In meetings that you go to, they see you as a youngster that shouldn't be sitting around with the older folks. It's institutional, it's cultural too. I am prepared. What I'm carrying is a generational burden, which I consider as a joyful burden. It is dragging me, it's draining me financially, but when I look at the Nigerian youth and I see the enormous opportunities that are locked in, I get inspired, I get motivated to go beyond where I've gotten to. And this time, I tell them, there's going to be a change. They will be liberated. One of them is running, and I encourage them to come and join me. Our office is at 84 Tenant Road, 3rd floor. Our doors are open to every youth that believes and connects with our message to come and join us, because we are going to come out victorious by God's will.
There's something you said earlier about centers that is going to be opened up in almost every local government.
Yes.
Every local government under your constituency.
Yes.
2 of it, you said empowerment centers.
Yes.
And we've heard about empowerment. People have empowered the youths in so many different ways. What is going to be special about, what sort of empowerment do you mean?
Okay.
Because the youths are known to be so much unemployed that it's hard for them to get by. Now, so when you come up and you're telling the youths again now from this platform that you're going to ensure that there will be empowerment, what actually do you mean by empowerment?
Okay. So I'm bothered that in every household in our senatorial district, there are a lot of graduates without jobs. So the Youth Development Center will provide free internet service to young Nigerians that could come, network with their colleagues, check out job opportunities online. The Youth Development Centers will have programs for youths, seminars, leadership seminars for youths, transformational programs like conferences for them, skill acquisition of options for those that want to take on fast skills for the jobs they want to do. So we've fully developed this plan, and again we are looking at allocating some of our constituency project funds to executing that. Apart from that, because of the schools I've been to, Harvard University, MIT in Boston, I have colleagues, I have friends that are already CEOs of multinational global companies that will be willing to come into Abia South Senatorial District for investment. So I'm looking at attracting foreign direct investment, through my network and connections outside this country.
All right, thank you very much. Let me ask you this final question. Well, maybe another one will follow, but it's a question I think that is pertinent as well. Defections in parties. Some parties have been described as structures through which people are sent to a lot of offices, political positions. And we see that most people, the moment they are denied what they want in one party, they defect to the other. How do you react to that? What is your own opinion about that? And if peradventure you don't get this ticket in APC, are you likely to defect to another party?
Okay, I will answer that question by stating here that there are two kinds of categories of politicians in Nigeria. There are professional politicians that have nothing else doing but politics, and there are professionals in politics. So the professionals in politics are those that have got a lot going on the side, but are also participating in politics to help change things. I find myself in the second category, which are professionals. I'm a petroleum engineer by background, and I work for a multinational oil company. Then decided to, because of empathy and compassion, decided to come and help change things in my senatorial district. Party ideology is key. Because most of the politicians you see today have not even spent time to look at the manifesto of their parties to understand what they represent. That's why you have a lot of defections. They don't know what the party represents. They are professional politicians, so they are looking out for their personal interests. That way, if PDP offers a better platform, you see them jumping from APC to PDP. And if it doesn't work in PDP, they come back to APC. I want to state it here that no matter what happens, I am a staunch APC member. It took me time to select APC as my platform. If for any reason I don't emerge, I will be an APC stakeholder. I'll continue to contribute to the progress and growth of the party in Abia State and in Nigeria in general.
Thank you very much. We've been talking with Engineer Chinedu Onyizu. Engineer Chinedu Onyizu, it will surprise you, he's only 38, and he's a native of Aba Yohanze village in Obingwa local government area. He was born and raised in Aba. He attended his primary and secondary education in Aba before getting admission into Federal University of Science and Technology, Owerri, where he graduated in 2002 with a bachelor's degree in petroleum engineering. He's well exposed. He has had the privilege of studying at prestigious universities like Harvard, MIT, Boston, Moorreworth in Scotland. He has been mostly decorated for outstanding accomplishment He is currently, like you heard, seeking nomination of APC to represent Abia South at the Red Chamber. Once again, I want to.
One thing to add.
Go ahead.
I am proudly the youngest senatorial aspirant in Nigeria. That's an inspiration to young
That's
Nigerians.
a good one. And then, like we just read to you, viewers out there, the young people, Chinedu is the youngest. And to attest to that, he's just 38 years old and he wants to be the youngest at the Red Chambers. I want to congratulate you at this point.
Thank you, Oji.
First of all, for finding it worthy to come out and be the mouthpiece of the youth, to take the bull by the horn and do what you're doing today. I know that history will, reckon with you as we move on. Viewers, I want to thank you for also being part of this very discussion, making your contributions and asking those questions. We appreciate you any day, anytime. We appreciate every one of you, and we can't thank you enough for being part of this very program. I am sure, Chinedu, that very soon you'll come back here.
Yes.
You always come back. The moment they open the gate of campaign, you always come back here to keep talking to your viewers out there who wants to also hear your voice. So youth, let us rise at this point and team up with every good person out there that wants to develop our community, our society, our state, and our nation, because it's our nation and we must salvage it.